California i Managing Forest Buis the Presid Managing Federal Land. The Griffier of 1910 Believe the Biggest Fire in Record America, History Burnet 3 millions acres across Washington, Idaho and Montana and qui est 86 peuples. The Agency Ordered Forest Fire by extinguiser as soon as possible, minimizing flame for century a renew the forest. Forest Service Policy. Also el permaculture. The government strangle along ab, naturally regenerating ecosystem mark as a beginning of forest mismanagement practice to continue for decades. Living 20th Century California in the midst of a state commission à Calais, un précédent environnemental catastrophe. The topic abampuset to the, for a frombi, escalating string of display wildfire including last year Estoma Fire in Ventura and Santa Barbara County. The largest state history. The 2017 blast à Black Namush of the Wind Country in Napa and Sonoma County, qui in 44. And last Montescan Fire. Isha qui est à liste 88 plan destroy nearly 14,000 but record for wildfire in the Golden State. The question of it blâmable attention, particularly since President Donald Trump blame for the fire, on mismanager bi California official and intérieur secrétaire rien qu'elle est tout radical environnemental coûta Seoul raté burn dans the entier forest en Q, à 5 le triortin the forest. Du ironie est à 57. Persof California est 33 millions acres forestard contre le bise fédéral gouvernement. En devant the industrie, est aperto betrying to sport, as la maison US for investing far to let in the priceless espace. Almost every working and around the status forest agrita mornito bedon to limir una was superfirtacium and levantir ecosystem nutrient. Budisagrim abun, including environmentalist, abois most important. Fuck intend on prescribe burn as a aspect to reckoning, ecologically purposed. Bring back at him before the protection of spotted en l'habitat or, à Salm, Runkulst eloging opération. Slam the door on du développement, on the suburban bamem wild lambunderi. For those most damage. Public official from the state capital in Sacramento to Washington, D.C., are pusing policy intended to reverse the allure du signe, of abundance of tree and that fuel and placing tigté control, en humain de l'homme, in fair danger zone. The Nourulway increase contre les burnes, plugging and brush clearance and furte buffet nous home development close to wildland. Bu experse I wait act de cadto restoril balance to forest in California and the West. T.I. Abidjan. I.S. Nogwanto cret change overnig, c'est Jésus Ugley, external affaires directeur for nature conservancy in California. I.S. Guanto have to be dire comme humain, avenir comme humain, and bayon. Fou dont échange the statu quo en forest management, oui continue to lose forest la alarming pass. Fou dont échange the statu quo en forest management. Oui continue to lose forest la alarming pass. Creating solutions y complicate bise array of overseer of wild, at angle fédéral, state and local agency and tools of privatone. A permis au cure burnani parcelle m'installer public officiel quanté en ce qui concerne à air quality, water purity, wildlife preservation and cultural and historical preservation. The resultat brush and trichoc much of California et se pense passe, the fuel left in des dribier of drogta à bangwa or ce n'est big global warming. insect infestation, particularly biseux ubiquitu bark beetle, have kievest swat of pin and fir forest. 8. Estimated 129 millions d'itri. California a stabilisé et Mortality Task Force. Scott Stephan, à University of California, Berkeley Professor of Fire Science, says the fire cataclysm of the last 2 years santo, avant des al ongera of inattention. We will start to change the trajectory, essay, so we won't have tragedy like we are in paradise. AONWRONG in California the status de termination historically tos kelch fir qui clia le forest chakawin tree. On research in the Sierra Nevada range phone record from 1919 Triperacrine on sexy of the géant Stanislaus National Forest, comparé aux 260 Triperacres centurilatés. The study couldn't mortensis incendiante. California est un bé industriel so a bankritli diminisé. Compagnie mad 4,5 millions borfi of l'un 1975 but. L'Irtirta à Moulin 2016, à change environnementaliste viewer restoring idée ecological balance and compagnie so a indulie restrictive. The skinny, tig lispacetri and zvibruch crite condition tafulé so calekron firinish flamme cool clanky clin from un der grottin to the forest canopy and up from trito tri usually pokrabi igi and fier soin. Half the damage from the 2013 rimfir camin just today, a flammy petrol the upper ash of the forest, blackening 410 square Melenan à Yosemite National Park. The Canfirbug, novembre. 8 National Forest Service, and, Pokrabi 50 mph, Dachento Conco, Magalia and Paradise, Firfigtese Imorphento, Urban Firestorm Blitzing from to Witless dependant son Firan Pin Fortinde. A debat continue of the Firoiso Didley, Witton. Arguing for BT Forest Tinning and Denoty pointing to the unifor armoré au management défensible space à une structure. Buiv à quel object for the timbe industry in California taskawint expanding logging in California sayes ronto point on cause, or fix, to the problem. Avec climate change, so temperature arrêtée and less humidity and the fuel hydrier, Sarish Gordon, President of the California Forestry Association. He will have been positive to expand treating and timber harvest butterar allow of factor. And more fuel to burn. He don't detect will have completely eliminated the problem. California a trié so far last year's devastation in the wind country wind 44 d. Subdivision obliterated classic California outure net au blackness cultans pure California to igrites to wild for safety reform in memory. Gov. Lebron signé à Surrey of Bill in septembre beta west, l'inregulation fortining forest and fair zone, allo limiter removal of some large tree and for city and quantito plan BT defense for individual property and community. Missouri also promised $1 billion of a 5-year to up to of Acroft Dwau, Chaparral and Forest California as big TV promise of money to reduce fuel. N'est-ce moyen to assurer s'actualiser allocaté chien. Buseux monnaie, li pledge, the California legislature and incoming of.